With the futures markets being closed today for Good Friday, I want to go over Bitcoin and show how the market is repeating itself for a pattern for it and how this really works out in also the S&P 500 market, whether you're looking at the 1 minute chart or you're looking at the weekly chart for it. Because the goal of my channel is, one reason why I have this is I want to teach everything I've learned over the 2 decades that I've been trading, that I've tried to make it as simple as myself as possible and just show how the ABCD pattern works in every single market that you could be trading right now. So most people are panicking in Bitcoin because, as you can see, pullbacks hurt, but that's part of the ABCD pattern. We can see right here there's been a nice pullback right there, all the way from the tops of 127,000 all the way to 60,000. That's over half of its market cap gone. Half of its value is gone right now. And so one thing I look for in the markets is the ABCD pattern. And so even moving over into Monday when the futures markets open, which are the ones I day trade, the S&P 500, Russell Dow, Nasdaq, oil, I'll be looking at how their ABCD patterns can translate into some trade setups that I use for. So starting off with Bitcoin, we're going to look at the weekly chart for it, because in it, once we look at it, you'll be able to tell from it the symmetry that all the markets do. And the symmetry is just made up of individuals trading and the psychology which is within each person. And every single person has the same psychology. Now, I'm not saying every single person is the same. I just mean every person has fear and every person has greed. You're fearful, you're either going to miss out on a trade, or you're fearful when the trade's going against you. You have greed where your trade is going for you, but you're afraid you're missing out on it. Or you're greedy when the trade is coming back, you're waiting for it to hit your entry, but you want to get in earlier because you're afraid it's going to turn and go and leave you behind without you being to get in the trade. So starting right here with Bitcoin in the weekly time frame for it, starting back all the way over here in December of 2017. This is when the futures contract was created for Bitcoin. Before that, there wasn't a futures contracts created for it. You just had to literally trade a Bitcoin straight up for it. But what I'm going to show right here is the ABCD patterns and how my prediction is we are in obviously the pullback pattern, as you can see right here, but it is going to go up and make new highs for Bitcoin, and not just Bitcoin, but the whole cryptocurrency market altogether. Because how Bitcoin goes is how all the other major cryptocurrencies go. Now, I'm not talking about the meme coins out there. I'm just talking about like Litecoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and things like that. So starting off way back over here, using the semaphores, which helps us just clarify where the pivot points are, taking it right here. Here down is the first semaphore that was formed. So we'll take the ABCD pattern right here. There's A, there's B, there's C. Now, what I look for in the way I trade the ABCD pattern, because I try to make my stuff as simple as possible, is I just draw my Fibonacci retracement extension tool down there. So you can see the main thing is you cannot go past the A point right here. If this C point went even one tick, 1 point, 1 cent, below it is invalidated because the C point cannot go below the A point. So we have the A, B, there's the C, and what we look for is, I just don't look for it to break the B point. What I look for is it has to at least hit the 1.146 Fibonacci extension level right here. That's what I look for. A lot of people use either the 23.6 extension level or the 127 or the 1.414 level, which I do have up here as kind of a guide. But mine, what I look for based upon how I trade and what I see for the price action to be happening when price hitting certain levels, the number one thing I look for is the 1.146. That's what I found to be the most reliable and the most accurate. So price came down here, hit all the way to the 88.6. Here it hit right here, the 1.146. So that means this is a valid ABCD setup right here. Now, for me to determine how the ABCD setup is over, what I do is after it hits this point right here, and we'll just mark it with a little box right here to let us know that is where the 1.146 hit right there. I take from point B, which is the anchor point from the A and B anchor point. A is the low, B is the high for the Fibonacci extension retracement level, and I just start moving it up. And what I'm looking for is this red line to come back and get hit right here. This is the 50% Fibonacci retracement level. Now, 50% is not a Fibonacci number. It's obviously just the halfway point between 0 and 100 within the Fibonacci tool, but it is a very high resistance and support level that people look for within the Fibonacci move, which is why I use it for me to confirm that the ABCD pullback within it is not necessarily complete, but the ABCD move is complete. Now, price can still go lower than the 50%, of course, but but my rule is it has to at least come down and touch the 50% level, using the A as the pivot point for the low for it to make sure that it's complete. So what we'll do is we'll just keep on raising it up until we see price come back and hit the 50%. And what you'll notice a lot of the time here is price will continue to go up. It'll come back down to 23.6 and go up and reach and hit that 1.146. So there is going to be other moves within it. And so here's kind of the first pullback we have for it right here. But look what happens. Price comes down to 23.6. Doesn't even close below that level right there. So there's a lot of buying. There's you know, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks over here. So between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's over a month's time of price consolidating down here, getting support. But look at that. It never closes below. It drops down, but never closes below the 23.6 level. Goes up, hits that right there. So there's another little move in it, but we'll just keep moving it up because price has not hit the 23.6. Here it goes again. Look at that. It hits very close for this candle, 23.6. Goes up right below the 1.146, but that doesn't matter. We're not looking for that. Now, here we go. Here is the first time price touches the 50% level. So when that happens, that means this is a completed ABCD setup right there. So there we have our first ABCD setup that happened with Bitcoin, and this was the second major move that it had up. The first major move was down over here before the futures contracts was created, when price was about a little over $20,000 for it. And then once the futures contracts were created, all the big institutions drove it down, took everyone's money down here to about $3,000, and then they started having it rise up again. So then they pumped it up to around 65,500. So then what I look for the next point to figure out what's going to happen to the ABCD move, especially after we have this first one right here, is I go from the previous point C for it, that's the next point, and we just draw it up to where the currently end point of the last move was, which was right up here. Now, as we can see, price came down perfectly, or excuse me, a little bit below the 50% line and went back up. Now, it did create a new high, but it did not hit the 1.146 level. So I do not consider that to be a completed ABCD move right there. And so what ended up happening was price continued to move and move down lower and created a deeper retracement to it for it. So what I do when that happens is I just take the Fibonacci retracement level, move it from the previous point, because it's not a confirmed point, since this isn't completed ABCD pattern, since the price did not hit the 1.146 and did not even get close. If it came like right up to close to it, real close to it, didn't hit it, I would consider that's good enough for government work. We would consider it completed, because sometimes it doesn't go 100% perfectly. Sometimes it goes kind of either just below it or above it if you're going short on it. So you have to consider that to be done. But it didn't even get halfway up there, so no, that's not completed. So what we would do is we would leave it at this point and not move it to this point yet. But the reason why I move it to this point is, as you can see in the retracement down here, this level right here was the previous low on, let me get the horizontal one, was the previous low on the move right there. Once this other retracement that's coming down breaks it, then that creates a new low. So we have to move the Fibonacci retracement level up to the new high, and that becomes the new anchor point for it. So then we can see that price comes back down, gets close to the 88.6 level, and look what it did in this last move that it did right here. It went down, as you can see, 0.9901%, so just right below the 88.6 level. Never closed below it, but just touched it. And this move right here comes very close to hitting the 88.6. Now, obviously doesn't, but it does come up right around that area that we did before. Now it goes back up, creates a new high, doesn't quite hit the 1.146, comes back to 23.6, gets some support, and then bam, goes up there and hits it right there. So now we have an official ABCD move right there. So what we'll do is we'll just go back down. Here's the A point, there's the B point, here's the C point, and now we need to figure out where the D point is going to be for it. So just like the last one, we start drawing the Fibonacci. We keep the same anchor point, which is down here for this ABCD move, and we start moving it up until price hits the hits the 50%. And look right here, we have another move inside of it. Price came down, hit the 23.6, went up, hit perfectly off the 1.146, but that doesn't mean this ABCD move is complete. So we keep drawing it up, and then here we go. Look what happened. There we go. Now we have a completed ABCD move right here. Price is bouncing right off the 50% level. Maybe it's slightly closed below it on this candle right here, but for the most part, we're getting perfect support off the 50% move on that candle. So this ABCD move is completed. Now, there's a couple things to look for right here. If this third move that we have for the second ABCD move going into the third ABCD move does happen, then we'll look for this to be the C point. But if from the other previous, for this ABCD move that went down to the 90%, this ABCD move went down to the 83% level, will price continue to go down and go somewhere back down in around this area down in here, between around the 80% to 90% retracement level, like those other two did? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But it's real interesting to see if that is going to happen. If that does happen and the price comes all the way down between, let's say, about 26,380 all the way down to about 12,000 or so, in my opinion, that's a huge buying opportunity right there. It creates some great risk reward ratio. Now, price isn't guaranteed to go down there and do that by any means. So what we'll do is we will take now our Fibonacci retracement tool, go down to the previous point C of the last ABCD move, draw it up over here, and now we currently have it at the 50%. So if we want to do a ABCD move from here right there, A, B, C. So if this stays at the low right here, or excuse me, this A and B point stay the same right here, that's really what matters right here. Like if the other one, if we don't get a move up right here to break that high, but it never hits the 1.146, and then goes down and creates a new low down here, then we'd move the B point from right here to right here. But until that happens, if it does happen, which it may not happen, we leave it right here. So we leave it right there. So currently we are looking at, for if history repeats itself and the ABCD pattern within Bitcoin continues, we are looking at a minimum high of 143,640. Now, when will this happen? I have no idea when this will happen, but it is my prediction that we will at least get to the 143,000 mark eventually sometime in the future. The big question is, will price continue to move down close to the 88.6 level down here like it has from the other previous two ABCD moves, or will it stay using this level around the 50% level as support and then move back up to the 143.6% level? So, or excuse me, to the 1.146 level, which is around $143,000. So where price currently is, which is about $67,000, it is over a 2 to 1. You basically double whatever money you put in right here when it goes up here. So how I'm playing Bitcoin right now, because when I trade crypto, I do it for long term. I don't do day trading for crypto. I start buying just small amounts right here. So then if price continues to go down, I just keep on buying as it goes down, because I have no idea how low it's going to go. If the trend continues, and for this third time price keeps going lower, then I would expect it to come down close to this 88.6 level, which is around 27,730. So probably anywhere between like 30,000 and 24,000 would be kind of like the levels to look for it as far as the ultimate lows, assuming history repeats itself, which until it doesn't, you have to assume that it will. So that is how I'm trading it right now. Small little purchases right in this area just to get into it, and as it goes down, continue to buy as it goes down, and then my exit level I'm looking for is 143,000. Now price, of course, can go higher than 143,000. Then the 1.146 level up here, just like it did for these other moves right here, because if you look at this one right here, Price obviously blew way past it all the way up here to 65,000. And then if you look at this move right here, right there, price went up all the way, because there's where it hit at 78, about 79,000, all the way to the high up here of $127,000 for it. So that is how I'm looking at Bitcoin here for the long-term scenario. Overall, long-term, very, 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 very bullish in Bitcoin, but for the to the short to mid-term, it could, and even to a couple years, which I guess is longer than the midterm, but we're looking at the weekly chart right here. There could be more sell-off to it, but I view this as a huge buying opportunity if price does come down right there. But my prediction is eventually, if price didn't go, say, starting at this level and go up and reach the 142,000 mark, or if it goes down here and then it finally goes up and reaches it, that is my prediction for it. Then let me just show you how this plays out in other markets as well, because over here we have the S&P 500, and you can see ABCD moves just every single day. I'll try to get where it's not as so much stuff on the charts. This is where I draw my indicators for the my day trades, but ABCD move is so easy to see after the fact. And one thing I'm working on is I am working on a trade setup using the ABCD. As soon as I do finalize that and I start live trading it, I will share that with you all as well. But if you look right here, look at this right here. Here's one, it went past 50, then right down there and hit it right there. So if we just start drawing the ABCD pattern, it happens every single day in pretty much every single market I look at. So there we have it all the way down there. And so then what I would do is I just keep on drawing this lower until price comes up and hits the 50% level for it to consider that one to be over. See how close that is right there? I'll consider that to be over. Good enough, close enough to it. So we had a big move right down there. So then what I do is I use the C point, which is right there, going down to the C point down to right there. So there we have it hitting right there. There's the next ABCD move, and we have it right there. So there's the A, there's the B, there's the C. Now we need to find out how low this went to complete the ABCD move right here. Let's continue going down, down, down. Create a new low, that's fine. But now look what happened right here. This would be it right here where we would get done. And so there we have the D point, because there's the low. So we do need to draw this down a little bit more. So there we go. Now that is complete. It hit the D point, but look what's happening over here. Price is getting close to breaking this previous line up over there. It hasn't done so quite yet, so we still are in technically another ABCD pattern for it right there. But as you can see, price, and look what happened. Oh, excuse me, from the other trade, but it keeps on happening over and over again in the markets. And then if we just use it for this one over here, now we have ABCD patterns going here the other way. Here we have one right there, pulling back, going up and hitting it. Here's the ABCD. So anyways, I can do this all day long, but I just want to show you how the cryptocurrency market, especially on the long-term time frame, the ABCD pattern for Bitcoin is in its third session right now, potential session. It's already had two previously, but I do believe since the other two have worked out so good, there's no reason to believe this one isn't going to work out. And so the area I have is 143,000 is the minimum target I'm looking for. And where price is right now, like I said, the way I'm doing it right now, don't trade the way I do, trade the way you want to trade, because you have to do the way you want to trade, which is going to make you successful. So I start buying a little bit right here. If it keeps on going down, I'll keep on buying more. So that's how I'm looking at. Thanks. Bye.